Well, it's a dandy show. We listen to you all the time. Yes, it's a dandy show. We're playing music so fine. Well, you don't need your cup of coffee, 'cause we got lots of beer and wine. Right for you. Well, it's a dandy show. You're gonna love our grooving time. Yeah, with a DannyDayShow.com, we be grooving all the time. Well, we don't need your money, baby. Come on, just bring us beer and wine. I don't know.
Hey everybody, good afternoon. It is the Danny J Show right here on the DJB Productions Network. Hit that subscribe button down below. Hit the notification bell as well. Leave us some comments. And as always, share the content. We always appreciate the support. Once again, we are right here on the Danny J Show. It is the show with the longest intro. So I don't know why it is. But coming up today, I got my good friend and comedian Dave Hodge on the line here. Dave,
How are you?
welcome to the Danny J Show. Good to see you, my friend.
How's everything?
Everything is wonderful. It's a beautiful Sunday afternoon, and we're on here on Facebook as well as on the YouTube channels. This way, we're simulcast, as they say,
Nice.
in the satellites. So, but no, it's great to have you on. Definitely, Dave is a great comic. You can see him often right in the Jersey, New York area. Does a lot of shows and stuff like that. Me, as an inspiring stand-up comic myself, it's always great to have these people in your life and you can drive inspiration from them, etc. Dave, I want to ask you first and foremost, getting into comedy, what made you think stand-up comedy was a good idea for you?
It was something I was always a fan of. I was always interested. I always loved the whole idea of being able to just express yourself however you feel.
Right. And what I found is my background, I'm a script writer. I was educated in that, and I was what I can, I guess, explain to people that don't know what we do. I could write like sketch comedy as an example. I can write Saturday Night Live type stuff.
Okay.
So like story-esque, small play type stuff. Stand-up comedy is a lot different. You're talking about jokes that are in and out. You have to get to a punchline quickly. You're not telling a story per se. You're telling a joke. So it's a different writing style. And a good friend of mine who is my comedy mentor, Brad Trackman, who's a very, very established comic. He taught me the ins and outs of that. And it's something that was, for me, like a hard transition. Even though like I thought I was funny, writing the jokes, I was like, I don't find any of this shit I'm writing funny at first.
And then writing in your own voice, because that's the more important part.
Yeah, you're right. Because you know what, when you're a writer, you're used to writing for somebody else. That's
right.
100% true. And what I think in my head might be funny to me, of course. You know what I mean? But like might not be funny to you or this person or that person, etc. My wife tells me that all the time. So it's like, when you get on stage, when you get on stage for like to say the first time, stuff like that, walk us through that. Walk us through like your first set and how you got through that.
I was a nervous wreck the first time. I was like,
Yeah.
I did the regular. I had a bunch of people come see, and I'm like, all right, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Next thing you know, I'm like, I don't like anything I wrote for this. This is terrible. I'm like, and I tried thinking of other stuff same day, and it wasn't as good as I hoped. It wasn't as terrible as it could have been.
Yeah. I think we are our own worst enemy.
But better than expected.
Yeah. And I mirror what you said. Like I was so enveloped in writing in the writing style of stand-up comedy that the jokes weren't resonating with me at all that I was writing. They were my jokes, right? And like you said, and I was like, I got everything down. I went through all this work and I was like sweating it out. And I was getting, draft after draft after draft. And it was like, I say it in the mirror and I'm like, I don't find any of this shit funny. at all. And like I at least thought like maybe my ego would kick in and be like, oh well, I think it's funny. No, like I didn't. I said I would boo myself off the stage if that was the case. And I luckily for me, I had life stories to fall back on that I was able to present in the style of the writing.
Yep.
Like stuff that you and I could be drinking. I'd be telling you a story about something that really happened, but I just told it in the form of the stand-up writing, and I managed to get
that's the
through
trick.
it.
That's the key.
Yeah, I managed to get through it, and like what helps with me, is I was in there and I was with 12 other comics, and these were people that were doing it for the first time. This guy's an accountant. This one's a nanny. This one's a banker, whatever the case would be. And there's like, oh, I just want to do this, and it's like, oh, that's awesome. But like they were like so nervous getting on stage. Now for me, I'm a DJ, so I'm used to being in front of people. So like that wasn't even like a scenario of getting on stage. Was like I was more worried about whether I was going to resonate with what I was saying. You know what I mean? And like you said, we always bring our people to come see us, to support us. And I think that's even worse than having strangers there. Really?
Yeah.
Because honestly, are they going to laugh without provocation just because it's me? Or are they not going to laugh at all because they really didn't find it that funny?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And I'm like, and then I got to face these people afterwards. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's a crazy thing. What inspires you when you do the jokes?
Now or in general?
I would say now. Like when you're writing, because obviously we have to constantly be writing, so we have constant material. What inspires you?
It literally everything that's going on in my life, whether it's something going on with me and my son, me and my wife. Yeah. Just random happenings, road rage. The fun stuff.
It really, and what a lot of people don't realize, it is like life that's happening that's so funny, and you just have to present it to somebody in a certain way for them to find it. Like
it's the absurdity of life that you're able to portray that nobody else is used to expressing the right way.
Now, as a comic, do you find that your humor tends to make you say like, where people say, "Oh, geez, Dave, what the fuck?" Like that type of thing.
Yeah, but people have said that my whole life to me. I'm used to that.
I if you watch my stand-up, I talk a lot about television. And I watch a lot of TV, and I drive a lot of my comedy from like stuff I see on TV, like be it commercials or whatever, and it's just like observations, like you said, it's just observing and being like, well, that's kind of fucked up, or blah, 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 that type of thing. And my worst thing I can do, honestly, and hopefully you have something to match this, because I don't want to seem like a complete asshole. But my worst thing.
I am, and I'm used to it. Go ahead.
Okay, so good. Okay. I'm watching TV, and the commercials for the Shriners Hospital.
Oh my God, I have a bit about that. Go ahead, go.
Yeah, okay, good, because I'm glad that you do, because I'm like avoiding it like the plague, but I'm like, when I'm watching it, first of all, there's that one kid he sounds like
looks like Lou Costello.
He does, and he looks like he's about 40 years old, and he's supposed to be a kid, right?
And now he's in college. They got the kid a damn car. I can't get a brand new car. He has a new car. What am I doing wrong with my life?
Exactly. And then they talk about like, well, thanks to you.
Wait. You want to know the crazy part? They tried to replace him during the pandemic with the cute little blonde kid.
Yeah. The real little one with the bow tie.
Yeah, Caleb, and he's fucking adorable, and just like he says, he's
adorable. That kid's about 34 years old too.
Yeah, but he looks fun.
I don't, but the thing was, I sit there and I'm watching, and they're like, thanks to donations from all of you, I could play football. I'm like, no, you can't. Like right up the front. They're like,
well, he can't be a pro, but he can have some fun.
And then they're like, and Joe could stand up. I said, man, I call bullshit. That kid, he's standing up. He doesn't look like there's a fucking thing wrong with him. And so I start yelling at the TV at the Shriners.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like, this is so horrible. But then I always think about, if you go back to the 80s and stuff like that, the Shriners were always like, they always thought about the Shriners convention.
Yeah.
where they have it there in the hotel, and there's like foot prostitutes and stuff like that all involved and stuff like that.
God bless them.
You know what I mean? So I was like, I said, well, good for them.
They were always giving to the less fortunate.
We're always going. True. I watch Cops a lot. Do you ever watch Cops?
Not in a long time. You know why? When it first came out, it was kind of cool because I was in the military at the time.
Okay, yeah.
And they would, every now and then, they would film in Jersey City. I'm like, I know that guy. I know that guy. And then I started knowing some of the cops, and it started getting weird for me.
Yeah.
Because then it was people that I went to school with that became cops that were on cops arresting other people I knew that were getting arrested by the cops.
Oh, jeez.
It just caused a whole bunch of, I'm like,
Now, I want to ask you a question. If you appear on Cops more than one time and you're not a police officer, should you get an IMDb credit?
I think so.
I think you should, right? I'm trying. I just think these are the things that pop
But you
up.
know, son, that goes for those Indian guys that got, caught twice on To Catch a Predator.
Yes.
So
Yes. When Hassan is in your fucking Rolodex,
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Where are you going to be at? Because I have to go meet somebody. You know what I mean? It's just
listen, I got bubblegum and fireworks and vodka. Let's go party, kid.
I'm telling you. And then I love how the 13-year-old girl is always the guy that looks like Bull Hurley from Over the Top.
Yes.
It's like, it's like the giant bald guy with a goatee. But I tend to watch.
It reminds me, remember AOL chat rooms?
Yes.
And it's like, okay, well, it's a 13-year-old girl or whatever, that 18-year-old girl is really a 50-year-old guy. I'm like, no, I already know that, but it doesn't mean I can't have fun with it.
Yeah, why not? As long as I'm not leaving the house.
Right. I'm not looking to leave the house and run out and get laid. I'm looking to have a good time and talk some stupid shit to somebody, like I do when a bill collector calls.
Yeah, oh, yes.
And they're like, oh, I'm like, yeah. But what are you wearing?
And how does that go?
I'm like, listen, I've never heard of this organization you're calling from. So either we're going to talk what I want to talk about, or you could end the call. It's up to you.
Yeah.
But I'm going to get undressed as you start telling me.
I'm gonna get. Yes.
They usually hang up at that point.
I can imagine they would. Could you imagine calling somebody like that? But I'll tell you, it's so much fun. Now, do you get the thing? I'm getting this a lot actually. Do you get the thing where it's like, oh, you're doing stand-up comedy? Tell me a joke.
Yeah, and it's awful.
Which is like, I think it's like a trope. I mean, it's almost like something that even if you're not in stand-up comedy, you think that that's going to happen. And I'm like, here, watch my stand-up. Like, I'm not going to tell you a joke. I'm not that funny right now because I'm in a bad mood. And now you just made it worse,
I'll tell you a joke if you pay the cover right now.
Yeah, exactly.
And buy me 2-drink minimum.
It's a 2-drink minimum. That's right. That's true. Now, on a serious note, though, would you say, and you have friends that are comedians, and you're a comedian yourself, or whatever, do you find that, say, psychologically, in a sense, that a lot of comedians are not necessarily happy people? Would you find that?
There's something wrong with all of us. There's something seriously wrong with all of us.
Oh, yeah. I think so. And
whether we're out of our depression at certain points or not, that varies from person to person.
Right. But I mean, I find.
But I know I'm at my happiest. I'm in my happy place when I'm on stage. Like, I don't care how bad my day is. I am 100% excellent at that point.
Yeah.
No, and then I hate myself as soon as I get off because I know there's something I forgot or I didn't like the way one person didn't laugh in the back, or I'm like, I feel stupid right now. That was, I worded it stupid. I bit my tongue the wrong way. I'm like, ah.
Right. Because you know what?
And everybody's like, oh, that was great. I'm like, really? I'm like, I'm going to kill myself because I thought it was terrible. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm glad you think it's funny. Yeah, exactly. Because my point being is like, you see a lot of people that are, I guess, inherently funny, but you hear about them outside of the job, and they're just like miserable people. Like one that always came up from when I was a kid was like Chevy Chase was always like an angry dude.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean?
He still has that rep.
Yeah, and believe it or not, and I'm a big fan of the Three Stooges. Towards the end, Larry Fine was an angry guy.
That's what I've heard.
You know what I mean? And listening to Stern years ago, they used to have the tapes of Larry Fine, like towards the end, and he would be talking about comedy nowadays and stuff like that, and he was just like so over the top, like angry. And I'm like, I'm wondering if it's like the comedy is their way of bringing it down. But they don't,
Most likely.
you know what I mean? Like,
That's
and
their therapy.
yeah, it's their therapy, and I mean, what better therapy than laughter, of course. But like,
Yeah,
you
it is
know,
the best medicine.
but like, it's like what makes the comedian laugh when you think about it, and that's your philosophical thing for this discussion today.
More awful things.
Yeah, yeah. And as I stated, like like you and I both, we find the humor. Like a lot of my set comes from like goofy shit that I see that I completely perverse in the end. Not necessarily sexual, but like,
No, I
like
know what you mean.
you know what I mean. And it's like I told my wife one of my jokes for my last set, like in the car, and she was like, "I don't get it. Like I don't understand what that means." I'm like, "Don't you?" And I had to like spell it out to her, and I'm like, "This is what it is." Blah blah blah. And she's like, I don't think it's that funny. I don't get it. And I'm like, now that's starting me off. Like that's like one of my first jokes in my set. I'm like, oh well, now this shit's gonna suck, right? But then I go on there and she's live in the audience, and when she heard it on stage,
Right, it's a different animal when you hear it
yeah,
performing.
she was like, oh my god, it is funny, and I didn't realize what you were saying, that type of thing. So, which is kind of a funny thing.
I get my wife always does that. I hate when you do this. I hate when you say that. And then I see her laughing when I'm on stage. I'm like, all right.
Well, and I know your wife very well, and there's two sides to her. She is a funny, wild person.
Yes.
Who is a teacher.
Yes.
So
who are some of the craziest people you'll ever meet.
Yeah, but like she's forced to be refined.
Yeah.
But she doesn't want to be. You know what I mean? So it's like, so she's fighting her own demons when it comes to sit there and say like it's almost like, Dave, I feel like I have to say something to you. It's like, like you're one of the students. Like I have to sit you down and you have to think about what you've done, type of thing.
So, wait till you come across more comedians that are teachers or were teachers. You're gonna enjoy a lot more of their stuff.
I can imagine because they're finally letting loose. And it's funny. I do find a lot of teachers become stand-up comics, and I've come across that, and I've worked with them, and they're funny people, and without making
they need that release also.
Yeah, but without going over that line to talk about the kids the way they do in some cases, and it's funny. It's just really, really funny stuff. And, I think the biggest problem that we have in this job is that, the perception of what has to be funny and what people feel it's okay to laugh at.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, because I was doing my first set and it was like, this was my first time doing it. And Brad was like, oh, well, you really can't say this. Well, you really can't say that. That's not going to resonate too well. And it was like really restricting to me. And in a conversation, people would laugh. I know for a fact people would laugh at what I said or whatever the case is, but it's like you're so worried about offending people. And then I was like, I had that in the back of my mind. And then I said, listen, wait a minute. I grew up watching Richard Pryor and Eddie Murphy and all these other, and Buddy Hackett. Go back old school. Like Buddy Hackett was someone that could offend somebody. You know what I mean? Yeah. You know what I mean? And Rodney Dangerfield. So I'm like, and now granted, you get to say, but that was then, this is now.
No, funny is funny regardless.
That's my point. I think funny is funny regardless, and understand that I'm a comedian. I'm not going up there running for office. This is not a political campaign. This is me making jokes about stuff. I mean, for Christ's sake, Chappelle says some of the most horrendous shit I've ever seen in my life. But it's like at the end of the day, he's making fun. He's joking.
And that's why we're laughing at it.
Right, exactly. And I just think we have an uphill battle because everybody, I think, has this mentality that they have to be miserable nowadays. I don't know why that is. I mean, I don't know why that is, but I think people feel that they're not right if they're smiling. And I'm like, what a horrible way to be. When
Listen,
you think about it.
life is miserable enough. That's why we have to laugh and smile and make each
That's
other
right.
laugh and smile.
That's right. That's right. I mean, I was watching.
Or else we go on a killing spree.
Yeah, I know. If a joke can keep me from going on a killing spree, I think I did pretty good. You know what I mean?
Right. It's like, Mike Tyson. I'm on a Zola, so I don't go around killing everybody.
Speaking
It's
of
the
Mike
same
Tyson,
thing.
he's gonna. You think he's gonna kill this kid or what?
Uh,
I think he's gonna kill this kid.
I'm not sure. I'm saying when I say I hope so, I don't mean that in a bad way.
I know.
I don't want to see anybody die. However,
Jake Paul, I don't know you from Adam. I don't know Mike Tyson from Adam. So it's like I don't really have a stake in
but
it. Yeah.
Jake has the reach. I'll give him that.
Yes. But I
Tyson
don't
has
think
the
he's-
psychosis to murder him.
I don't think
It's a tough call.
I don't think he's as fast as Tyson. And Tyson at 56 is still very
It's
fast.
still fast. I've seen some of his recent training videos. He's still fast.
He's very fast. And understand though too, for those of us who watch Tyson in his prime, Tyson's in and out.
Yeah.
He's the stand-up comic of a boxer.
Yep.
He's got to get in, he got to get out, he's got to drop this kid in the first round. Because if you remember back when he lost to Buster Douglas, it's because he went past round 3.
You're right. Anytime he went past round 6, it wasn't good.
That was it. He was tired out. He blew his load in the first couple of rounds, and that was it. So I think Tyson to maintain his reputation,
But 31st round knockouts is pretty damn good still.
Yeah. he's going to knock the hell out of this kid. Now you can sit there and compare it to Rocky 6. Remember in Rocky 6 they did they put him against like the
Mason the Line
AI.
Brooker.
Yeah, and it was like the AI thing.
Yeah.
They're like Rocky's going to defeat him 16 out of 20 times or whatever the case was. I'm like, I think Tyson is going to destroy this kid every time he goes against this guy. And like you said, the kid's got to reach. He's got youth on his side. If he could stay
Right.
away from Tyson, I think he'll.
But I don't think he has the killer instinct in him to
Nah.
truly compete. He may be good enough to defend himself, but that's what's going to make it interesting.
Yeah. So I mean, I think that's going to be something that we're going to drive a lot of jokes out of. I know that. Like things like this is what I'm looking for. Like I try to get my
you know what I want to see? I just want to see him eat his children. Praise be to Allah.
put it up like that. That's the truth.
On the eve of Ramadan, I just needed to say that.
That's all I got to. As the show gets muted by YouTube.
Why? I'm celebrating
I
Islam.
know. All right, there you go. So
To
but
all my
like,
Muslim brothers out there, enjoy.
there you go. Exactly. And Tyson is just the Godzilla of boxers, and I just love him to death. And I think it's going to be great. But no, definitely, like I said, like having stand-up comedy and supporting stand-up comedy and stuff like that. I don't think there's a better use of your time than going out to see a show, honestly, and seeing a comic and stuff like that. Because you know what I found? Excuse me, the last show we did, we were at Punchline in Philly, and people came out. We had a great turnaround. We probably had about 65 people there, something like that, 70 people for their graduation show it was. And I managed to like slip in there because Brad got me on the show. And people were like, it was almost like they were like waiting to laugh. They were just dying to laugh. And I understand that, like, it's okay, guys. It's okay to laugh. It's okay to make fun of things. It's okay to find humor. It's okay to find dark humor and stuff as well. The key is humor.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
So that's the key. You could joke about anything.
Yeah.
It may not always be funny, but you could joke about it. The goal is to make it funny.
That's correct. And if you can make it funny, then you really are doing your job.
Right.
And my wife cringes every time I say something sometimes, but I'm like, if I get one person laughing, that's it. I did my job.
Listen, I love an uncomfortable silence. Well, like, not when it's me on stage, but when I hear somebody else, I'm like, "Oh, that was great. That was so awful. I have to laugh at that."
Oh my God.
Oh my God, dead children.
Yeah. I mean, it's the truth though.
Oh my God, he's missing a leg.
Now, let me ask you this. Is your wife tell you that she's off limits when it comes to jokes? As far as like for the act?
Thankfully, no, because she's become a huge part of it.
My wife wants her residuals because she's a huge part of my act, right? But I was like, you're giving me a lot to work with. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm gonna move on to my, and this is where the dark humor comes from. I have an autistic daughter, so she's going to be in the next set. You know, as far as the goofy shit that she does as an autistic child,
Right.
and then like my mother-in-law, of course, and I always mess with my mother-in-law, and and
Listen,
everybody like,
when you're married and you have kids, like
yeah,
you have no choice but to have lots of material,
you do, you
and it's
honestly,
always relatable.
you honestly do. One funny thing was I was,
Like, listen, I don't have an autistic kid, but I can relate because my son knew autistic kids in school. I'm like, oh, that kid, I understand what he's getting at.
yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Now
And
she's
not
going to
every one of
be.
them eats their crayons, but also, a couple do.
It's the truth. And the funny thing is, she's going to be 20 this year,
Okay.
and she still goes to school. They keep them in until 22,
Okay.
through the programs and all. And she's in there. She's high functioning, and then there's lower functioning uh, children or young adults that are with her as well. Some of them don't talk. Some of them, have a lot of tics, etc. And she like not doesn't make fun of them per se, but she does make fun of them in a sense. And when you hear your autistic kid making fun of other kids, like you correct her, but
Right.
you have to go to the other room and laugh.
But you can't help not to laugh in silence after
You,
that.
you have to.
You have to leave the room and enjoy the laughter.
And my youngest daughter, she's going to be 18 this year. She's me as a girl. It's like legit. Like they took my brain and put it in a girl's body, and that was it. So she's egging her on to say shit, and then she'll like look at me, and then I'll start laughing, and my wife will look at me and be like, "You both
What's
are
wrong with the
assholes."
three of you?
Yeah, what's wrong with the three of you? You both shut the hell up. Don't
You
say
two
shit
should
like
know
that.
better.
Everything you're saying is mirrored in my house completely. It's ridiculous. But you know what though, I find that just having that closeness and having that kind of love and being able to make these jokes about this stuff. It was hard having an autistic child. I ain't gonna lie. It was a challenge for us, and we got through it, and we persevered and stuff like that. And God bless my wife because she was, I worked a lot, and she was on top of everything with the school and with the what was due to my daughter and stuff like that, and Medicaid and everything like that. So, I mean, it's a lot that we went through. So to be able to joke about it now, really just it's almost like the just desserts in a sense. You know what I mean? So, and I know your wife can realize that because I don't know. She doesn't do special ed, but I know she's come across kids.
Well, no, but she has some students that are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. You know what I mean? So I know she gets it and stuff like that. And she a lot of times off camera and off, she hears her and my wife talk and stuff like that. And it's funny what you hear about them and stuff. But like, I told my wife, I said, if I'm gonna do this, it's balls to the wall. And I gotta make fun of shit. And I'm gonna make fun of shit, and it's gonna be ruthless, and it's gonna be like the first set, my wife knew everything I was going to talk about. The second set, my wife, other than that one joke that she didn't get, had no idea what I was going to talk about. And I had her in most of the set. And luckily, knock on wood, people laughed. People were laughing. They said, "Oh my God,
Yeah,
that's some funny shit."
it was pretty good. I enjoyed
yeah,
it.
you saw it. Yeah, you saw it.
I watched them in reverse order, but yes.
Yeah. And to give you an idea, that the first one, I was like, you know what? I can't write this the way it is. None of my stuff's funny. I'm going to tell my stories that I know to get through it. And that was literally my thing, was to get through it. And people laughed. And that room's not mic'd that well, so you really can't hear it. It was a lot louder, the laughter, than it was on the video. But then the second one, I was really concerned because it was all written material. None of it was real. You know what I mean? Other than my observations. And I said, all right, I observed this. Now I got to make that a joke, and wrote it down. You know what I mean? That type of thing.
Right.
So like, other than my wife having sleep apnea, there was nothing true story about anything of my second set. So that was all written. And I'm like, I hope this translates. I hope it translates. And luckily, knock on wood, like it did. So I was like,
right.
it's it gives you that oomph to say, "Oh, I want to do this again." Because quite frankly, I was really, I wasn't going to do the first one because I wasn't liking my material, and I almost like talked myself out of it in a sense.
I got you.
You know what I mean? But it was. What would you say for any young comics? What if you're going to give some? Because how long are you doing this now, Dave?
About 12 years almost now.
Okay, that's good. So you got some good tenure in there. Now, if someone's breaking in, what are you going to tell somebody? Say the top. Here's the 3 things you need to do if you're going to get into this business.
Write, rehearse, repeat. Do as much as you can. Get on stage as much as you can. It's literally putting your reps in.
Yeah. Now,
like the old adage about the 10,000 hours.
Yeah.
It's like that, but you don't get hours at a time to do it. So.
Right. Now,
and depending on how young you are and what you do for a day job, or if you have a day job, is going to depend on how much time you're going to be able to put towards this.
Would you say now? Granted, it all makes sense. Getting on stage as much as possible. Is that is a big part of it getting over the stage fright? Because if my question to you is this: if you're somebody that doesn't have the stage fright, are you farther along than what other people would be in a sense?
It helps, but you also need to be able to, like I was saying, like what you're saying in your voice has to sound natural to everybody listening while you're up there. And just because you're comfortable on stage doesn't mean you have that part of it. And that's why the reps mean more.
Yes. Okay. So that makes
sense. Also, like you said before, sometimes you have something and it's in your head and it sounds hysterical and your friends hear it and it's hysterical. But then you say it on stage, it's like, what did I say that was different here? And it might be a facial tick you made or your posture as you're standing there. Like those little things are the performance part of being a performer.
Right.
So you could write it good. You could say it well. You have to perform it as well too. And that takes time. That's why you need to practice on stage.
Right. Now, do you watch your sets over and over again?
I hate doing that, but every now and then, yes.
Okay.
I need to do more of that, but I'm terrible.
Because I watch it, my wife thinks it's my fucking ego. She's like, you just love watching yourself. I said, no, what I'm doing is I'm watching to see what I did. Because I'll pick out stuff to sit there and say, oh, I rushed through that. If I would have waited, paused to allow that to resonate with the audience, I might have gotten a larger laughter because I talked over it.
That's why you need to watch it. Yes.
Right. And then I said, and also too, I want to see how first of all, I look fat as fuck on that video.
Yeah, listen, that's why I don't like it, because I hate the way I look and I hate the way I sound. So it's going to annoy me watching it, but I need to do it because I have to get to that. And once I get past, like, I'm like, all right, well, if I'm able to watch it once, which is a lot anytime, I'm like, all right, I sounded okay here. Yeah, I like the way this happened. I hate myself for all this here, and this was good. And you wrestle with yourself. Your self-confidence and your ego are conflicted the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's the truth. And so I try to tell my wife, and I'm like, hey, this is for research. This is not for my ego. This is not for me to watch myself over and over again. This is me. This is me really. And I critique every last second of it to sit there and say, I talked over the laughter there and I should have shut up, or I rushed this, or I should have really made this more extravagant when I said this, or whatever the case is. Because the
one thing I do that helps me is usually I'll know one or two people that are on stage with me that night. And like, what'd you think of this? Like, did I rush this? And I'll ask that, because that way I don't have to force myself to look at this face and be angry and then realize I screwed something up. If somebody could tell me that without that, I'm like, that makes sense. Okay.
Somebody else looked at it. Well, and you make sense though too, because once again, you're in your own head.
Right.
Yeah, you're right. And you need that outside, because I'll tell you what happened the last show.
And thankfully my wife's at enough shows where I could get the unbiased non-comic, like, hey, this was good, but you probably should have smiled a little.
Does she do that?
Yeah. Because I tell her, I'm like, listen, one of my biggest problems is I'm not smiling and or enjoying myself up there as much as I should be. And if I'm and especially if you have angry rants while you're up there, it's hard to smile as you do it.
Oh, you shouldn't, right? You shouldn't be, exactly.
you have to convey the laughter. That's part of the performative part of it. So if you're able to get the angry rant and then get over it and smile and laugh, it wins it over more.
I
And
think
she's like,
I think that's
and
great. Your wife-
my wife will tell me, like, you know, why everybody liked that? You were smiling and laughing while you were telling the rant.
Yeah, yeah.
But you were able to get through that, and you did that.
Because your wife
That was the
is
thing.
like a big support. Like whenever, like you could sit there and say, "Oh, he farted. Oh my God, he's so good." My
Also
husband's so
true.
good.
Also
She's-
true.
Yeah, she's. I know she's like that, and I see the post. I'm like,
But she critiques the hell out of it too. She's like,
That's
what the hell
great.
is this?
that's great, and I think that's awesome. Like my wife is like, I could never do what you're doing. Like that, and that's their state. I can never do what you're doing. I'm like, okay, well, you know, I can, you know, and
Right.
I, you know, and I get like dicky about it. But I'm like, I said, well, you know, it just is what it is, and like I have things to say, and hopefully people.
And I need
find
to say it. Somebody has to hear this.
Yeah, it's almost autistic in a sense where I'm like, if I don't say this, it's going to blow my skull off my fucking shoulders, you know. But I'll tell you though, one thing, and it was the last show we did. The lights came on, and a couple that I did not know, had no idea who they were, came up to me specifically because they were like off to the side, and they said, "Yo, you were really, really good. I wanted to thank you." And they shook my hand. And I said, "Holy shit, thank you so much." Like, you know, like I'm not going to get into details. Oh, this is my second time or whatever the case is, and you know, blah blah blah. But it was so nice to have someone who had no idea who the fuck I was come up to me and say, "Hey, I'm going out of my way to say to you, you were good." And I was like, "Thank you."
No, I
You know,
appreciate it.
I was like that. That drove me more than having my family there.
Right.
If that made sense, because I'm like,
No, I totally get that. Yes.
because I said, you guys have to laugh because I'll fucking disown you if you don't fucking laugh at my jokes. But I said, but to have somebody that had no idea who I was sit there and not only laugh, but then say, had the urge to come up to me afterwards and say, "Hey, I want to tell you that you were funny." That was amazing. That was great. You know what I mean? Because it's one thing if another comedian says you're funny. But like, it's almost like a courtesy amongst workers. You know, I'm not going to go up to you and say, "Hey, Dave, you fucking sucked tonight." You know, I'm not.
Oh no.
You know what I mean?
Sometimes you have to. Sometimes you have to.
I would think you do. If I had that kind of rapport with you, sure. But I'm not going to sit there and.
But
be on
also,
the show. Right.
sometimes it's a friend, and you tell them that was terrible.
Yeah.
Sometimes deservingly, and sometimes you just want to be a dick just to check their ego.
I got to be in it longer before I can start checking the egos.
Totally fair. Totally fair. I get
I'm
that.
getting a fight backstage so quick. It's not even funny. You know what I mean? And I'll be like, "Why were you fighting back?" Because I was just being a dick. You know what I mean? And then people are like, "Oh, well, I get it," because they know me. They're like, "Dan, you say dick things." It's funny because the example is Sophia from the Golden Girls. On the show, she had a stroke, so therefore she has no inhibitions. She says whatever she wants. That's what they relate me to. They're like, "You just say whatever the fuck you want. You don't even consider anybody's feelings or anything." I said, "I know. That's the way I am. I just spew it out, you know, like that." But I said, I don't mean any harm to anybody. Like, I don't mean anything, but like, I'm not going to sugarcoat stuff. I don't like biting my tongue. I like to say what's on my mind. If you do something like fucked up, I'll be like, "Yo, Dave." Yeah.
Really?
I'll try and say it nice, but I'll be like, "Yo, Dave," you know, "Yo, Dave," you know. Could you do that and try and make it funny just so you laugh at it and be like, but then make it think. My wife is the kind of person to sit there and say, but you know what I mean? Like, but other times she'll tell people off, but she's like, "You got to know when I said, "I just don't know anything. I just fucking say what I'm going to say and get it done and over with." Because you know why? I'm going to be 50 this year. I'm in the second half of my life. I said, I don't have time for people to get caught up with what's going on. I got to tell them now and then move on with my life because I have other things to do and I got other things to watch on TV because I got to write more jokes. You know what I mean? So when it comes down to it.
Yep. Hold on a second real quick.
Yes.
Give that to Bill. He should be downstairs.
Yeah, he said give him a call.
I know. He just sent me a text. See if he's still down. He should still be down there.
All right.
Sorry. Thank you. Sorry.
Conducting business.
I told you we were
Yeah.
talking before, I was in the middle of like 6 different things. It's
There you
that
go.
kind of day.
It's great that you're busy like that, then. I mean, in all honesty, it is great to be busy like that because that means that things are happening. You know what I mean? What?
No, I was in a fender bender. I'm having somebody look at my car right now to try and help me fix it.
Oh God,
Because, insurance isn't gonna.
that's horrible. You have to deal with that kind of shit. Where are you going to be at coming up? Do you have any dates booked?
I do. I have a show down in Forked River on the 28th, and I'm going to be in Middletown, New York on the 30th.
There you go.
Then I'm going to be on my honeymoon.
You got married like 3 years ago.
No, November.
I was going to say, it's been a while, hasn't it?
But
You guys didn't go? You guys didn't go on a honeymoon?
well, no, she's a teacher, so we're going
That's
spring
true.
break.
That's true. That's true. You got married in November. It's right in the middle of the you have winter break, which is not that long. Yeah, that makes sense. So that's good. Where are you going for your honeymoon?
We got a ridiculous price on a cruise to the Bahamas.
There you go. That's nice.
So I'm like, yes, I'm in.
And while you're on there, maybe you can get a couple shows on the boat.
Probably not, but it doesn't mean I won't talk to people there and try and make.
That's what I would try and do.
Listen, poolside performance. That's about it.
Yeah, it's about it. I'll charge everybody $1.
Exactly. No, just let them throw tips in my my trunks.
That's it. There you go. Throw tips in his trunks of all places. There you go. Dave, it was great having you on the show. Make sure you go see Dave Hodge. Is there a place where they can go?
I have to update my website. So I won't give that out right now, but you can find me here on Facebook at Dave Hodge, HOJ. You can follow anything I have on there. Follow me there. Follow me,
You have YouTube?
Follow me on Instagram at Dave Hodge.
There you go, Dave Hodge. And it's HOJ. Do you have a YouTube or no?
Sort of. There's not much there.
Not that you're doing with anything. Okay, so
Yeah,
so go
I have a couple things I need to put more on, but like I said,
right. So
when you have a lot going on, you don't always have time for everything you want going on.
That's true. You're absolutely right.
It's all about the juggling act of life.
You ain't kidding. You ain't fucking kidding. So go see Dave Hodge. It's HOJ. You can go on the social medias. Check him out there. He will post the different shows on there, and I do see that he's on there. He's a funny comedian. You guys are going to love seeing it. And once again, Dave, it was a pleasure having you on the show. We will have you on again soon with other stuff. So for Dave Hodge, my name is Danny J. It is the DJB Productions Network. This is the Danny J Show. Hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell. And until next time, have some laughs, everybody. It's only going to get funnier from here.
Take care, Dan. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
So